The blunders are all there on the board, waiting to be made. Savielli Tartakover. Hello chess lovers, Suren here, and in this video I want to share with you a very dramatic game which was played at ongoing 2019 Hunan International Open, with the white piece is playing Chinese chess grandmaster Zeng Chongshen and his opponent is Russian chess grandmaster Alexander Motylev. This game was played in round 6, and now without further ado, let's get started with this fascinating game and see what happened on the board. Chongsheng opened up with e4 and Motylev responded with e5. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. We have the Italian game knight f6. Black is choosing the two knights defense, knight g5. White is instantly targeting this vulnerable pawn on f7. Black is playing d5, e takes d5 and knight a5. We have this good old Polario defense, bishop b5 checks c6, d takes c6, b takes c6, bishop e2 h6. Of course, all this is a theory seen many times. Bishop c5 d3, black castles kingside. And here, white is also usually answering with castling kingside, but in our game we have knight c3, knight b7, and finally white castled kingside, with which he also invited black to win this pawn on h3. But strangely enough, I have to tell you that I checked up in the database, and it turns out that when black answered with bishop takes h3, this was actually a novelty. Before this, usually black was either playing bishop b6 or knight d5 or queen c7, but in our game we have bishop takes h3. Why not? Why not breaking into pieces white's king side? Though this is allowing white to open up the g file, but in this game we will see that white will fail to create any counterplay, and it will be black who will launch a ferocious attack. Here we have queen d7, bishop g4, knight takes g4, h takes g4, and f5. G takes f5, rook takes f5. And now black will launch a very dangerous attack. If we have a look at the position still, white's dark squared bishop is standing on its initial square while black is thinking about the attack. Meanwhile, the second rook is coming, queen e2, rook f3. Black has a very dominant position, and I have to tell you that I really liked that bishop takes h3 move. King h1, queen h3, knight takes c5, knight takes c5, bishop e3, rook f5. A nice move. The knight on c5 is untouchable because of this rook h5, and white is in trouble. You have to give up your queen, but once you are losing your queen, the game is over. That's why after rook f5, Chongsheng played rook g1 with the idea of to meet rook h5 with rook g2, which we see in our game. And only in here Motylev moved away his knight. Knight e6, rook g1, king h8, bishop d2, a very strange move which allows black to gain advantage. Instead it was better to play d4. If e takes d4, then bishop takes d4, and this bishop is untouchable because there is a back rank weakness and black king will get checkmated. But in our game after king h8 we have this very strange passive looking bishop d2 move, which is like asking black knight to jump on d4. Knight d4 is on the board, queen e4, and rook f7, black is neutralizing a very nasty threat. You will see what was white's threat a few moves later. And also by moving back the rook, black threat this f3 square for the knight. The threat is knight f3 with very nasty threats. Using the back rank weakness in here, white played bishop f4, brought his bishop in order to cover this essential h2 square, to which Alexander Motylev responded with a terrible blunder. In here he captured on f4, but this is losing on the spot. Instead it was better to play rook h4 with the idea of winning the bishop with the h rook. If queen takes e5, then rook takes f4, and if rook takes g7, then black has this beautiful queen takes h2 move, which is forcing a simplification. And in the end of the day, if we have a look at the position, by solving some technical problems, black should definitely win this endgame. But in our game after bishop f4 we have rook takes f4, and as we have reached the critical position, please pause the video and try to find that winning move for white. By the way, I have to tell you that e takes f4 also was not playable because of queen e8 check, but in our game we have this terrible rook takes f4 move. So have you already found the winning move for white? That move is actually very simple, and I'm surprised that Alexander Motylev missed this queen h7 check. Well, when on move 26 he moved back his rook on f7, he actually neutralized that queen h7 threat, covered the g7 square, and I am very curious, how could he move his rook from f7 a move later on move 27? Maybe by playing rook f7 he just freed the f3 square for the knight. Well, after queen h7 the game is over, because black king is in a mating net. If king takes h7, then rook takes g7 check is coming, and then white rooks are killing the enemy king. What a beautiful queen sacrifice, right? Queen h7 and your opponent is resigning. Well, in the end, as usual, a chess puzzle for you. This is a very simple one where the task is to find mate in 2. It's white to move, and I will wait for your answer in the comment section. Or instead of providing the answer, you can even name the mating pattern. Thanks for watching. In the end, here are more suggestions for you. Feel free to check them out as well. I will see you in my next video. Take care.